Hey everybody. All right, we are back with another mock draft. This time I'm doing my hometown Pittsburgh Steelers. Born and raised living in Pittsburgh. I've covered the team through the draft for 24/7, a couple different websites. So I'm excited. I'm excited to do this draft. I'll have an article. There should be an article up on the site to go along with it to help explain my reasoning. So we're here at pick 20. Now, I'll explain before we start. I'm recording this after the Steelers have just traded for Justin Fields. They signed Russell Wilson. So they're probably going to make some more signings here. Nothing super impactful to this draft. But to me, biggest team needs offensive tackle, left tackle, even if they move Broderick Jones over to the left tackle, then you'll need a right tackle, center specifically, the interior offensive line, and receiver is probably the biggest things. And then the secondary defensive line, I think, are on the back burner. So here at 20, looking through the top of the board, it jumps out to me. We have two of the best offensive tackles still on the board at 20. J.C. Latham from Alabama and Amarius Mims from Georgia. Now, I'm not trading in this draft. We did see the Steelers trade up 2 picks last year for Broderick Jones. I think if somehow Amarius Mims is still there at 20, I don't expect it to happen, but if he is there at 20, I think the Steelers would pull the trigger even above some of the interior linemen like, say, Jackson Powers-Johnson, the center from Oregon, and Graham Barton, center from Duke. I think they like both those players as well. Receiver-wise, it's fine. I think Adonai Mitchell will probably be the best fit. I think it's a little bit early for him. Corner, you have Kool-Aid McKinstry there, but I think we can wait on corner. So I'm going to pull the trigger on Amarius Mims here at 20. We'll see the draft fly on by here. Thanks for picking in the second round at 51. I don't love the value here. Malachi Corley is probably the best available. The Steelers have shown some, maybe very slight interest in Deebo Samuel to trade for. So Malachi Corley could fit the bill to replace Deontay Johnson or Jalen Polk or Devontae Walker. Fine value here. Let's see. I might come back to it. Interior line, Cooper Beebe from Kansas State, not a center. So that kind of puts it in perspective for me. I think Steelers would take him or Christian Haynes here. Cedric Von Pron's probably a little early for the Georgia center and built almost an all-Georgia interior offensive line at this position. Corner-wise, definitely some good players still on the board. Mike Sanders still from Michigan, TJ Tampa, Iowa State, Max Melton, Rutgers. I think all are worth the pick here as well. So I like that. I'm going to take a quick peek at quarterback. Now, I think the Steelers could draft a quarterback. I might target one later. Spencer Rattler is the best available. Sabonis is off the board. I think that might be the one player that the Steelers have interest in. I don't even know if it'll be a 51. I think it'd be more 84. So I'm going to go back to the wide receiver safety. I think there's some good safeties on the board, but I think there's enough depth in terms of a need. It's not huge right there. Defensive line, same way. So I'm going to go back to receiver, and I'm going to draft Malachi Corley, the wide receiver out of Western Kentucky. I think he's probably the best fit as an all-around talent to really step up this offense. When you talk about with Arthur Smith coming in as offensive coordinator, I think Malachi Corley gives the Steelers a player that can play outside. We saw that at Western Kentucky, but also can play in the slot if needed. Now, I do think the Steelers are going to sign some receivers after I record this. Maybe a Tyler Boyd, who went to Pitt, could be in play. Now, the Steelers have 2 third-round picks, pick 84 and pick 98. And I think we definitely have to fill the center need here at one of these picks. So 84, we have a couple players I like. I like Bo Leemer, Arkansas, Mason McCormick from South Dakota State, and Tanner Bortolini from Wisconsin. I wonder if I could get one of those guys at 98. So I might hold off on that for the time being. Look back, quarterback Spencer Rattler is still on the board, but because of Justin Fields and Russell Wilson, even though they're both on basically 1-year deals, I think I'll come back to that. Defensive line, no one really jumps out at me here. Mason Smith's attractive, but it's fine. I think corner is probably the way to go. And I think there's a number of good players here. I like Kyrie Jackson from Oregon. I think he's a really good fit. G.J. James from Auburn has some of those long arms, has some of the press ability. Bernardo Green is a really physical corner, underrated. I don't think Kalen King is probably in play. He's athletic. Steelers could take him, but I'm going to go Kyrie Jackson here at 84. I think he is probably the best fit to get another physical corner who also still has some speed. He could be a number 3, number 4 this year, and then take over for Dante Jackson in a year. So I'm going to draft Kyrie Jackson here. At pick 98, we're approaching. I'm hoping I can get one of my interior offensive linemen here. Tanner Bortolini got sniped by the Bengals. I would have taken him, I think, in a heartbeat at 98. But with him off the board, I think I'm going to go with it's between Dominic Pooney from Kansas or Mason McCormick from South Dakota State. So, for me, I think that Dominic Pooney has some real upside. He's kind of raw, hasn't played the position a ton, coming from Central Missouri, but I think he's someone that can ultimately play almost any position on the line. So a little developmental here, probably wouldn't start from day one. I'm going to go with Dominic Pooney at 98. So now we're looking at pick 119. This is kind of the last major pick. Then we have 2 6-round picks. That'll be more filling out depth. So we're not going to take any of these trades. Like I honestly, I think looking at quarterback, if Spencer Rattler is still on the board at a 119, I think the Steelers are going to be very interested. Defensive line, Dwayne Carter, Gabe Hall are both intriguing. Outside of that would be safety, Bo Braid from Maryland, Sione Vaki from Utah. Both make sense. I think it's actually some nice value at this spot right here. But I'm going to take Spencer Rattler, the quarterback from South Carolina. He'll be the number 3 behind Wilson, behind Fields. But in a year, Wilson and Fields could both be gone. At this point, you can try to develop Spencer Rattler, see if you have something in him that could fit. I think he does fit the Arthur Smith offense, though his RAS score, his combine was not great for Rattler in terms of athleticism. He's more athletic than he lets on. So I'm going to take Rattler here at 119, and we're going to wait for the 6th round to finish this off. So I'm pretty happy with this draft so far. So the one thing I would have liked, different interior offensive lineman, perhaps. I think Tanner Bortolini was a good target there at 98. Probably should have taken him at 84 and went corner at 98. I think that probably would have been a little more balanced ultimately, because I think Bortolini could be a 2nd-round pick when we get to the draft. So if he's still around at 84, 97 where he was, then I'd be pretty happy with that. Fill out the depth. Let's see who are kind of the best available players here. I think we could even double dip at receiver in this draft, though I don't love the value here in the 6th round. There's no one that really jumps out at me as a must draft, though. I'll check back in here in a little bit. Let's see. Other positions we could target. Defensive line, I think getting some depth there. Keith Randolph's very good. I like Christian Boyd as well. We could still take that safety, which I think is where I'm going to go. I like the value at safety here. Looking at these names still on the board, I think Kitten Oladipo from Oregon State is a tough, strong safety complement. Perhaps special teams ace could be a good player. I'm going to take him here at 178. And so I think running backs in play. The Steelers need an RB3 behind Jalen Warren, behind Najee Harris. Like I said, I think another wide receiver's in play. I like Bub Means from Pitt, Cornelius Johnson from Michigan. I think both those guys are possibilities. Interior line, Brandon Coleman's interesting from TCU. CJ Hansen from Holy Cross. I like him a lot. Dylan McMahon from NC State, and Jared Kingston. I think there's a ton of good interior linemen still left as well. Could double up a corner. I like Willie Drew out of Virginia State. Carlton Johnson out of Fresno should be gone by 195. That's a nice value if we wanted to double dip there. But I'm going to go with running back because it's fun. And my guy, Isaiah Davis, running back from South Dakota State, still on the board. Big back. Could be a nice fill-in if Najee Harris gets hurt. I will take him at pick 195 here for the Steelers. So there is the draft. Pretty good grades. I didn't necessarily draft for grades here. I like it. Amarius Mims, instant starter at left tackle. Malachi Corley, I think, has a role. Kyrie Jackson and Dominic Pooney, maybe not starters from day one as third-round picks, but you get two players here who I think could develop into year two. And, Pooney potentially could step back, learn for a year, and handle that. Spencer Rattler, develop him as a third quarterback. If Wilson doesn't do well, you don't like Fields, now you have at least a fallback there that you got to take on day three. And I like Kilton Oladipo's special teams ability, strong safety potential. Isaiah Davis to compete for that final spot. So there is my team. Let me know what you think of this draft. What would you have changed? What would you have done differently? Leave it in the comments below, and I appreciate it.